You're saying he's really overrated defensively. He struggles hard defensively. All right. Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna use my math here, and we're gonna take a little assessment of Ben Chiarot. Is it right? Ben Chiarot? I don't know, man. Some of these names, like, you know, Tyler Bertuzzi, like, I still think Todd every time I see the name, especially on the Detroit jersey, right? So sometimes I get confused about names. You saw Wayne Simmons play really good. His assist on Engvall's goal was great. Yeah, I always like Simmons, man. You never know. He plays just good enough to always be a threat. Just good enough to always be a threat. Not a, you know what I mean? Not the biggest threat. Yeah, Leslie, we like Simmons, right? But yeah, okay, so let's look at Ben Chiarot, okay? Oh, he's a Montreal Canadian. I thought he was a Senator, man. Whoops. Think Montreal would give him to us, really? I don't know, man. There's a lot of, like, a lot of grudges there. Well, first of all, okay, he's played 456 games in his career, and he's a minus 20. So already I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled by that. It's understandable at times, so it's not the end of the world. You look at this season, he's a minus 25. Okay? Now, again, Montreal not having a great season. Everyone's going to be catching minuses out there. And he's one of their top defensemen, so we have to have some wiggle room, some grace there of being like, oh, that's just a tough situation. So what this means is it's not that he's a bad player. What it means is that he's definitely not having a good year. Right? That's good to know. We want to know that he's not having a good year. All right. Let's take a look at just some general stats here. Since being in Montreal, he's like well over a minus 30 for the past 3 years. But, you know, it's been craziness. But think about it. Last year was a cup, you know, a cup season, cup final season. I know that number, those playoff numbers, I don't think carry into the regular season stats that I'm looking at here, obviously. But still, though, even just a +5 the year before, right? So we're not looking too great. For points, we're looking at like 9 and 7. He had 21 back in 2019 and 20. So 21 points for a guy like him. Not such a bad way to go, right? But still, like, how are you going to get that from him? You know what I mean? Are you going to get that from him? I don't know. Does he shoot left or right? What does he shoot? Does it say here? Shoots left. Shoots left. So he's a left side D. Like, do we need guys on the left right now? Is that what we think? I don't know, man. I would say he's definitely not been the most successful as of late. I would need to see more information to determine if that's because of him or because of his teams. But definitely at this point, he doesn't look like he's having a very good time, and I would kind of distance myself unless nothing better was out there. Unless nothing better was out there. The ideal player that you want to pick up in a trade right now, if you're the Leafs, the ideal player you want to pick up in a trade right now, no matter which position you're trying to fill, is you want to pick out someone who's having a great year, getting paid very little, and you know, you'll get some length out of him, hopefully. You know, more than a season, hopefully, because you always want to be thinking about the future. But like, how many of them are there out there, right? Like, that's not an easy thing to find, but that's the ideal thing, right? Someone who's having a great year, getting paid very little, right? And it's a team that's not going to the playoffs. That's the other big thing. The team that you're trading with cannot be going to the playoffs, otherwise you're not getting them, right? So, yeah, Chiarot did great in the playoffs last year. I don't care what he does this season. He'd be an impact to the blue line. Leafs have had enough puck-carrying D. You need a guy like Bogosian. Well, I mean, Bogosian was here. And he didn't really do a lot in the playoffs to make himself stand out. We don't have any standout players in the playoffs the last couple of years. We just don't. Not really. Not enough to make you go, wow, that guy's an instant hero, an instant legend. And that's okay, because it only takes one good season, and you know what I mean? And you're on Legends Row, right? For analytics, Chiarot is a minus 3.2. That's a even strength defense. And minus 3.7, which is goals above replacement. So that's correct me if I'm wrong, goals above replacement. That is the amount of goals that your team would be getting without you, and so they had someone else in your replacement, right? So like if so if you had a plus number in that category, then your team gets that many more goals with you compared to putting someone else in your spot. But if it's a minus, then that means your team would actually like be better off having somebody in your place, I believe, right? So yeah, he's not even doing good in the advanced numbers. So Quinlan, you're saying that those numbers are not good, correct, Quinlan? Logan, you're saying offensive defensemen aren't the same as they used to be, like Carlson, Burns, and Doughty. There are few that are great offensively, so I believe that if they don't, yeah, so I agree with you on that. They're not very, there's not as many totally elite defensemen anymore, but there's also no like gritty, can't get past them defensemen. So what are there? There's a bunch of pylons. There's a bunch of pylons in the league. I don't get it. Oh, there's a chunk of bottle. Who redeemed that? How come I can't see that? I can't see. What is going on? I'm missing some stuff here. Oh, it's because, that's right, it's because I made you guys have to add comments to the bottle chug so that it'll show up on the screen. That's right, nice, Chug for the win, absolutely. Sean, how you doing, man? Gar is you compared to a replacement level player. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so no, they're terrible. Okay, so there you go. Like, Quinlan, can we just acknowledge, you don't have to admit that I'm right, I promise you don't have to admit that I'm right, right? But can we just acknowledge that you and I both came to the same result using completely different numbers? We both seem to completely agree on what Ben Chiarot is in the NHL. I used a combination of things like plus minus and points and stuff, right? And you used advanced analytics, which are great, right?
Good one, Randy.
But can we not at least agree that or at least admit that we came to the same conclusion there? Right? Leslie, I think, knows what I'm up to here. Leslie, I think, knows what I'm up to. You know what I mean? Yeah, especially for a so-called shutdown man. I agree he's probably big and tough, and when he makes an impact, it's that kind of impact. So that stands out. People are like, I don't see many players like that. Oh, he must be really good at that. No, it doesn't mean that at all. It means he might be making a whole bunch of different mistakes that you're not seeing, right? See, like, you know what I mean? We end up in the same place a lot of times. And Quinlan, I'm doing a whole special soon. I'm gonna put a whole YouTube video up. It's gonna be a special on plus minus historically, like throughout NHL history. Some of the players that are at the top, some of the players that are at the bottom. You know what I mean? And bottom being reasonable because, like, you know, you can play one game and have the worst plus minus of all time. I mean, I don't know, but you know, there has to be like a minimum games played kind of thing. But I'm gonna do a whole special on it. I'm telling you, like, you don't have to admit that you don't have to say it's the #1 thing in the world or nothing, but you gotta admit you're gonna admit it has some value when you see this video. All right.